welcome to our second episode of our Chair Chat series at Pure Green Fishers. We're here downtown in the Nickel Plate District with Noelle Norwood from Noelle Norwood Wellness. We're so happy to have you here today with us.
Thank you.
Pure Green Fishers Chair Chat is a community-centered conversation focusing on nutrition, health and wellness, and our health and wellness journeys as a community. So I'm so glad to have you here as a part of the Fishers community. I was so excited to meet you. Originally, we met at Hotworks for a special event a few months ago, and I was just really so inspired by the work that you're doing here in the community with all walks of life. I just love people who are committed to helping people on their wellness journeys. And I'm so inspired by how you decided to start helping people with their wellness journeys. So I'd like to start by just kind of learning a little bit more about your background. Where did you grow up? What brought you to Fishers?
I want to first say thank you so much for having me. I told you when we first met that I've been waiting for healthier fast food options in Fishers, and you brought just that to us. So thankful to have you in the community, and so thankful to be sitting with you today. I moved to Fishers when I was 9, so I grew up on Long Island, New York, and
nice.
Yes,
Hi, New York.
yes.
I spent 15 years in New York, so
You did.
I felt a connection.
That is, I know, I've loved our connection so far. And yeah, growing up in New York and then moving here, it was just two totally different worlds. So I feel like kind of half and half, but most of my childhood, I guess, was spent there, and then yeah, the rest here. And it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, what was that like transitioning from New York or outside of New York to Indiana?
It was so different. It was so different because we grew up with a really tight-knit family in New York, Italian American, so very, very close. We moved here, and it was just totally different. We grew up on the beach, came here, and you have no beach, but everything was more new here. The schools were really big, so it was a huge transition for my whole family, really.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm so curious what it was like growing up in your family in relationship to food, nutrition, health, wellness. What did you see modeled in your family? What were kind of your go-tos for meals, snacks, and your relationship with, working out, medicine, all of those things?
Yeah, so growing up in an Italian American family, food is such a huge piece of our culture.
I bet.
It brought everyone together. My early childhood memories were sitting at the table at my nanny and poppy's, and pasta, any pasta you could imagine, but home cooked meals were huge. Sitting at the table after dinner for hours, over tea and espresso and sweets, lots of cookies and baked goods. But then also at the same time, being an 80s baby, packaged snacks were big. So I think back to going to the beach, and we would have fresh fruit and bagels. Being in New York, carbs, everything tastes better in New York. So the breads, the deli meats, sandwiches, the pizza,
everything.
all of it. So lots of that. And then also just, again, being 89, I was born. So lots of packaged Doritos and snacks like that. So healthy relationship with food. There was never much conversation around nutrition. I guess, it was just eating when you're hungry and eating meals together, but not so much paying attention to gut health, inflammation, hormones, any of the stuff that, is part of the conversation now.
Yeah.
And,
I want to ask you about this because one of the things that always fascinates me, I've only been to Italy like once. And one of the things that fascinates me is it's a main diet of pasta, pizza, cheese, meats, wine, cigarettes.
Yeah.
And yet people are just dying of old age
Yep.
over there. It's like, what is like the difference between foods that are closer to the earth versus foods that are more processed? It's like, if we tried to eat like that here, we would wreck our systems. But it's like, when I was in Italy, I could eat pasta, I could eat pizza, I could eat cheese, and it's such a higher frequency. It's like, why, what is that?
Right? So many people have this question, and I tell clients all the time, eat like your ancestors, right? And like Italy, they're not looking at ingredient lists, they're not counting calories, they're not going to the gym all the time. They're eating close to nature, they're eating whole foods, they're gardening, and their food is not processed the way that ours is here.
Exactly.
So that's a huge piece of it. But, you know, they're gardening, they're walking everywhere, and community. That's something that you and I have talked about. You know, they are eating in this state that they're relaxed and they're with one another and they're laughing, and the stress level when they're eating these meals is maybe, you know, tremendously less than it is here when we're rushing from appointment to appointment, and you know, there's a million stressors in our lives. And so from an environmental standpoint of what's in their food, and then just the state of how they're eating it, I think that plays a big role. When we're on vacation, we're typically pretty relaxed, so things digest better when we're in that state.
Yeah, because it's not just about like the food and the gathering to eat. It's about the gathering for the community and that kind of like relaxation, hanging out together in a shared experience, which is why the meals are long.
Yes.
Which is why there's like the afternoon break in the middle of the day where it's like, I was always trying to go to the market and it's like, market's closed, we'll be back for dinner. And it's like, oh, because it's the eating process and the sitting down in that like connective state that helps the digestive process actually work as you're consuming the food.
Yes.
And the slowing down of the courses, like eating slower over a longer period of time, giving your body a chance to digest each meal, which is cool too.
We're not even chewing sometimes. We're just rushing and we're not enjoying our food. And that's a big piece of it too. So yeah, community is medicine, and the way that we approach food, you know, it plays a huge role in how it ends up.
Right. Did you find that moving to Indiana kind of had an effect on your family's relationship with food at all, or was it able to kind of hold steady? Were you able to continue your same traditions? And
so I think when I look back, you know, my early childhood, I did start to struggle with digestive issues, and now knowing what I know now, I do wonder if maybe just the stress of moving played a role in that. Because of course processed foods and you know, eating cafeteria lunches and what most of your diet consisted of, as you know, in your childhood, you're not really paying attention to balanced meals quite as much.
Right.
So I do wonder if that played a role in when my health issues really started.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they say public speaking, fear of death, and moving are like the top human stressors. So moving, even within the same state, is so dysregulating for the body and the system that it's like moving to a whole different part of the state, the country, a whole different region, a whole different culture, kind of, you know, it can be completely like a whole new world and completely disorienting.
It really was. It really was.
At what point in time did you start to notice things going on with your body? You mentioned you were starting to experience some digestive issues. And at what point in time did you kind of start to take a driver's seat role in your relationship with food and like what you were eating? Or when did you kind of start to make that connection that like maybe it has to do with what I might be consuming?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think little by little in high school is when I really started to struggle with my health hormonally. And I look back, I think maybe I've mentioned this to you before, but I was starting my day with a Mountain Dew and a Pop Tart and going to school all day.
Oh my
I was
God,
barely drinking.
donuts and Coke, a huge Coke for
Yeah,
me. It was just like a bag of 5 donuts. I can't believe I was even functioning on
that's
that.
exactly how I feel. I wasn't drinking water. I think it's like it was no mystery where my health issues were coming
Right.
from. It was my gut screaming for help. And so that is, it took me still a long time though, because I got to college and I would try to eat salads and, started going to the gym and started to actually enjoy exercising and thought I was really doing right by my body, but doing the best I could with what I knew at that time and not really paying attention to environmental stressors, fragrance, things that I was putting on my body, not paying attention to ingredients at that point, just thinking, trying to follow the food pyramid and, eating what I thought was a balanced diet at that point. But really, when my health issues came to kind of a head where it was my late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
And really, I was struggling with chronic infections, and that led to hormonal issues and gut issues that was showing up in a lot of different ways. But really, I found that by drastically changing my diet, all of my symptoms seemed to, disappear.
Isn't that wild
It
how
is.
something so simple
So simple.
has such a large impact?
Absolutely.
Like, I know I mentioned on the chair chat last time, like when I first got to college and I was drinking like with all of my peers,
Yes.
and how I was getting sick so frequently. And when I finally realized, I think if I just take this one thing out,
Yep.
I'm going to stop getting sick like 4 or 5 times a year.
It's amazing.
And then once you feel better, it's like, well, why would I introduce this back in if I feel so good
Absolutely.
without it?
Removing alcohol was another one of the things that's just helped my health so much that I don't miss anything. I never really enjoyed the taste of alcohol. So for me, it was easy. But yeah, I was on this cycle of antibiotics and pharmaceuticals and all of these, what were truly Band-Aid solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And by removing things that were stressing my gut and, alcohol and processed foods and sugar, I grew up addicted to sugar.
Oh.
So yeah, that is all of these things just improved my health so much that it's not even really discipline. It's just knowing what feels good in my body at this point and kind of just, it makes it easier.
So it sounds like you were kind of taking like an experimentational kind of approach, like trying to eliminate these, seeing how it felt. Did you have any other guidance as you're now? I mean, because you're like transitioning from your teens into your early 20s. It's like a big transitional period for a young woman. Like, who were your mentors? Did you have any? What resources did you go to find information when you were like, I need answers to questions that I don't have?
I love that question. And I wish I had a different answer, but I really didn't have someone. And, my doctors didn't really ever ask me about nutrition, didn't ask about my stress levels, really what I was exposing my body to. And I wish I had someone that was able to help guide me. I didn't really even know about functional nutrition or functional medicine at that point when I was navigating all of this. So a lot of research, just kind of digging into, what is in our food, my dad's cancer journey and my mom's autoimmune and diabetes. I mean, the list of chronic conditions in my family that are purely caused by lifestyle for the majority of them. That's what really got me interested in figuring out what can I do to prevent, the rest of my life struggling with these chronic conditions. And that is when I read books, I watched documentaries, and my dad's cancer journey is when I really, I was sitting at the hospital and I was looking at the list of ingredients that were in some of the food, that was he was being served. And I just thought, wow,
this can't be helpful.
This can't be helpful, no, especially for your immunocompromised people. And so that was a huge turning point for me was 2017. And I started drastically changing what, was in my home, and from laundry detergent, removing perfumes and all of these hidden things that don't sound bad. I mean, even when it comes to food, you know, your natural flavors, your citric acid, these things that seemingly sound fine. And
I tell you what, I was at Fresh Time the other day trying to find some, like, just some chicken stock, and I kept looking on all the boxes and it kept saying chicken flavor as an ingredient, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Chicken flavor? Like, what is that? It took me forever to find something that just said chicken bones, salt. That's it. 2 ingredients. It's like, there's just such a blind trust and faith we have in the food options that are being presented to us. Similarly, in the medical options that are being presented to us. Like, I imagine when you were going into the doctors, they were just giving you prescriptions that would just cover up the problem, but not solve the problem. And so at what point in time were you like, you know what, I don't think I need another antibiotic. I actually think I need something else. Like, I can't do this again.
2021.
Okay.
2021. I got my last antibiotic for an infection, and I just said, I cannot continue on this cycle. And for me, it was seeing what, you know, my family. I mean, not only my personal health struggles, but watching them kind of just go down that standard of care that was almost just disease management or symptom management and not truly addressing the root. And so understanding root cause, and there may be a couple of different root causes, but at least making these lifestyle changes, even along pharmaceuticals, there's a time and a place for them. But if you're not also trying to understand your gut connection and make these changes in your daily exposure to environmental toxins, food, then it's doing a huge disservice, you know, if we're not combining the two at least.
Yeah.
So 2021 was a huge turning point for me. I was able to get off, you know, I was placed on Adderall for mental health. I was experiencing brain fog and focus issues that I had never really had before. And now, knowing what I know about the gut-brain connection, it really all makes sense. And so being able to get off antibiotics has helped me, because now I really don't have to, I don't experience half of the symptoms. I don't really experience any of the symptoms that I struggled with for over a decade.
Yeah.
So it is so empowering to have the information that we have now. But I wish I had someone that was able to kind of just provide that guidance for me when I was really struggling in my teens even.
Yeah, because so much of it starts with what we're eating in elementary school and in high school. And a lot of it is just, for lack of a better word, it's just crap, you know? It's like you see the meme with that, like, plastic looking pizza with the plastic cheese on and the box of chocolate milk carton, and, you know, and then like the powdered donuts for like that, and French fries. Like that was like a regular lunch. And had I known how that was going to affect me down the road, but it's like no one knew. We're just so mesmerized by the convenience of convenience. Food,
yes, absolutely.
Not realizing the inconveniences that they might cause down the road. And it's like, not everyone has, I'm not like, this isn't a blessing in any way to have family members going through other medical journeys. But it does sound like that it was kind of the intersection of those journeys and your own that made you really, really start to consider like what was going on, not only on the inside, but on the outside.
100%.
Too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. In high school, I would sometimes drive my grandfather to dialysis because he was type 2 diabetic. And I thought, wow, that, you know, it just broke my heart.
That's a lot of exposure at a very early age to the processes that our bodies go through.
It was. And it was a huge wake-up call for me, even just being in my late teens, you know. And then certainly by my mid-20s, when I was struggling with my health, it was an easy decision to start making the changes that I did.
Yeah. Well, I feel like so many folks in our generation are like watching our parents. We're seeing their medicine cabinets. We're seeing their diagnoses. We're seeing the long-term effects of, you know, choices that they've made, or options that they've just been presented with that they didn't have better options at the time. And
100%.
luckily, like, we are at a point where better options are being created.
Yes.
Like, it does take time, but the more we start to make better choices, the more Doritos is like, okay, we're gonna remove the dye from our chips. We got it. You won't buy it with the dye.
Exactly.
Like, our choices matter. Our buying power matters.
Absolutely.
And ingredients are starting to change.
They are.
More options are starting to be made available. I was laughing at myself this morning because, you know, I'm in the process of trying to like completely like go non-toxic with my bathroom. And I know I joked with you last week, like the fact that we even have to Google non-toxic products is like infuriating to me. But I was giggling to myself because I'm like, oh, it's only taken me like 10 years to like completely get all non-toxic products.
Right.
Probably because some of the companies I use now, I've been waiting for them to create these products so I can buy. But it's like, luckily now I can even go into a JC food store and find a little organic section and find items with clean ingredients that I can eat, right?
Yes.
So slowly but surely, more options are becoming available.
Yes.
What is your best go-to method for seeking them out, for finding them, for knowing what they are? I mean, I know you're a certified nutritionist.
I'm a certified in functional nutrition.
In functional nutrition, okay.
Yeah, so I cannot diagnose, treat, prescribe, but I can work with clients to educate them on functional nutrition guidance and really understanding what's in our food, how to create a balanced plate, you know, understanding how everything is so connected from our gut to our hormone health, mental health, and really just helping people know where to start. But as far as finding non-toxic products, I found so many, you know, through functional nutrition or wellness coaches that I admired and kind of just took, you know, their word for it, as along with, you know, doing the research on my own as well. So like you said, a lot of companies are starting to add non-toxic options, which is so awesome, but always kind of still taking that time to do a deeper dive on my own too.
Yeah, which is a great segue because, you know, I know you said in your transition from like teens into young adulthood, you didn't really have access to a strong form of mentorship. And I personally feel like, you know, mentorship is just innate to the human condition. You know, we respond so deeply to modeling, whether we know it or not. And I think especially when it comes to health in your body, like there's no better investment that you can
100%.
make than to have someone that can walk alongside you and give you and your body special, personalized attention, which is, I imagine, you know, what inspired you to create your practice. But can you tell us a little bit about Noelle Norwood Wellness and when you created it, why you decided to, and when you were like, okay, you know, we're doing this, like this is a lifelong passion and we're going for it.
I love that question. Yeah, so 2021 still took me, you know, a couple of years to really fully put everything together and understanding, you know, holistic wellness. When I was actually in college, part of my program was to study abroad, and I stayed at a healing retreat in Costa Rica, and that's when I was really open to the world of holistic health and seeing that there were options outside of just traditional medicine. So it seems like it started over a decade ago, really, is when, you know, I was open to the world of holistic health and then applying it, you know, to my health personally. And little by little, you know, family members would ask for support and friends.
It always starts that way, doesn't it? Everyone's like, well, I have a question.
And seeing that gap, you know, a doctor gives you the diagnosis, I always say, and a health coach helps you live with it. So with health coaching, I just realized, you know, there's so many people that don't know where to start and they don't have the accountability and the support.
Truly.
There's so much confusion in wellness. I mean, even me, I love it, but you're on social media and you're hearing hey, this is this is the diet, that you should follow. And then someone saying something totally different. Even when it comes to fruit, it's like fruit has so much sugar.
Is it too much sugar or is it not?
Exactly.
Can we eat it,
It's
or
like,
is it bad?
yes, all those vitamins, minerals, fiber, there's so much confusion.
Yeah.
And so that, my health struggle and my family's, of course, Noelle Norwood Wellness was born from that, just understanding that we do need, community. And a lot of my clients come to me and they just are frustrated. They've spent, so many times at the doctor's, maybe not, not feeling like they were heard. And so being able to offer that level of support, and especially, working with women in their 30s and 40s. And I work with, people, like you said, from all over. I work with men as well. But a lot of the people that I work with are struggling with things that are completely preventable.
Yeah.
And like my health issues were totally preventable. And there may
Those
be
are
that.
the best kind to have.
Yes, right. It's like there may be that genetic predisposition, but if your lifestyle is tuned in and we're nourishing our bodies and treating ourselves with, that respect and removing these hidden toxins that it's not our fault. And for so many people, it's not a lack of willpower or, education. It's people just, they're confused. So that is what I love to help people, is just empowering them with the education and resources. And again, just that support that allows them to really just make these sustainable shifts that maybe it's just not going to happen overnight, but little by little, the more that we can create balance in all areas of our life, it's not just the food, it's not just the exercise, it's community, it's managing stress, it's getting out in nature. We're so deeply disconnected from nature.
Oh my gosh, to think that it's enough just to like go on a vacation twice a year
It's
and
not.
like plug in then. It's like I never understand people who are like, I'm not a plant person, because it's like, but you are a plant. You are a plant. You eat plants, you're made of plants. Like, trust me, you're a plant person. There's no such thing as not a plant person. We are nature.
We are nature. Yes, I love that. I love that.
Well, okay, so this is what we have to talk about, because one of the reasons that it's so confusing is because of how compartmentalized and separated and segmented our medical industry is. I mean, not just the medical industry. Like, this is kind of, I would call it like a disease of Western culture that kind of separates everything. We all have our own houses and our own fences and our own cars and our own everything. Nothing's together anymore, and the body's being treated as all of these separate pieces, which is why it's also so important to have the holistic approach, because this is the only person who's going to be walking beside you, looking at you as a whole, looking at the whole picture. And I'm trying not to hit on the medical industry too deeply, but like, I understand that doctors are overworked.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily feel like they're underpaid, but I do understand that they're overworked. There's only so much time they can spend with each person. But the snapshot is so limited that you get. It is. When you're going in for, someone who treats one specific thing, that when you get this kind of attention, it just goes so much further and so much deeper, because you're looking at the body as a whole, which I know is a big part of your philosophy.
I love, the Eastern, Western, and so thankful for doctors and nurses and anyone who dedicates their life to, like you said, making people healthier and helping people.
Yeah, and sometimes you need an antibiotic, and sometimes you need surgery.
Yes.
And sometimes you need to eat more walnuts.
Exactly. and nourish, right? Yeah. And when you think of Eastern, I always say it's like we're looking at the body as a garden, and Western medicine is, just as you mentioned, it's separated the body into 1,000 different parts. We have a specialist for, every separate part of the body, and it is all connected.
None of it can be related, right? Yeah.
I mean, when we look at, even as a child, I had dental health issues. When you look into the connection between each tooth connects to an organ, and it just is so wild to me that we're not taught any of this. And when I talk with clients, I say, if the leaf, like when you're looking at the body as a garden, if the leaf is green, or if the leaf is brown, you don't just paint it green. You look at the soil. What could possibly be going on underneath that is causing the leaf to brown? And so, just as you're saying, it's looking at the whole body, and it's not just physical, it's mind, spirit, and there's these different practices and community and paying attention to every single part of your life and what could be out of alignment. You know, a holistic lens is what part of my body is asking for more support, you know, instead of just fixating on the symptom, is looking at these as important signals that say maybe something underlying is going on.
Looking at how the whole, all of the systems work together.
Absolutely.
So do you have an ideal client that you like to work with, or who is the best fit to work with you, would you say?
I always say holistic health is for everyone.
It is.
It's
I think
so hard, right?
Deeply. Yeah.
I do. I find that most of the individuals I work with are in that 30, 40-year-old range, where stuff kind of starts to accumulate and go haywire.
The biggest body shift in a woman's life.
Exactly. And we're not equipped for that. And so I do say, I want to support anyone that is looking to improve their health in really any capacity, whether you're struggling with chronic symptoms and you're working with your practitioner. I'm just that extra hand to, hold and to give you that level of support that takes a deeper look at maybe what else could be going on. But I do have a special place in my heart for young women in their teens and 20s that are struggling with hormonal, anything. There were so many things that were going on in my life and causing me so much pain and frustration and so much time wasted, that if I only knew what I know now, I could have saved myself so much time.
Oh my gosh, so much time. It's like, the first big transition I can think of is like going through puberty. And going through that phase where you're starting to get your cycle and your body is changing in a very huge way, which most teenage girls are navigating alone. And then this huge, again, transition from late teens into early adulthood, when you're usually making a huge transition, leaving one space and going to a new space, whether it's to college, whether it's from high school into, the workforce. Anything that is a big shift for the body is going to be dysregulating. You're going to have to find a new equilibrium. And then, I've just hit 40. So I'm in the place where it's like, I'm learning my body all over again. It's like, I can't keep my temperature regulated. I want to stick my head in the freezer half the day, which is good that I work in a smoothie shop.
You're at the perfect spot for it.
I'm like, this is nice. I'll clean the freezer. And it's just like, all I feel is that I have so many questions and nowhere to get the answers that I need, So it's just so great to be able to find someone that can work with you and give you some answers to those questions, because it's confusing and it's scary when you're going through it alone.
100%. We're just not taught to work with our bodies.
No,
and
we're taught to work against our bodies.
We really are.
To just push through it, ignore.
Especially when it comes to our cycle. That was debilitating for me for really over a decade. I would schedule, nothing.
Everything around it.
Exactly, because I was always in so much pain. And so much of that was preventable through lifestyle modifications. And so cycle awareness and teaching young women, you are not the same. We're not small men. Our hormonal cycle is totally different than a man's. And so honoring that throughout the month, you're 4 different versions hormonally, and giving yourself that grace to take a slow week and not push through. We're taught to push through. And that's, I think, one of the biggest issues.
Taught, pressured, expected, so much. And it's true. It's like, we're on a 28-day cycle versus a 24-hour cycle. Like, that's a huge difference.
It really is.
Okay, this is a question that's personal for me. I want to answer this question, but this is for all women.
I love it.
What is the best way to start to navigate in this world with the awareness that it was built on like a 24-hour cycle model,
Yep.
but we have a 28-hour cycle. Like, how do we integrate that information?
Yes.
Without like
yes,
ripping ourselves into like two different directions, because the world that we are having to live in is not just going to change overnight. We're not just going to wake up. It's not going to be a matriarchal world, on like, you know, a round curvy system with, you know, it's just, we live in the world that we live in. So how can we nurture ourselves, protect ourselves, and navigate this world in a way that we can be in alignment with ourselves and not trying to align ourselves to a rhythm that's not meant for us?
I love that so much. I think the awareness, slowing down, giving yourself that grace, and truly more so body literacy and really understanding just exactly what you're explaining. Like, it is not something we're supposed to push through. So maybe we can't change our lifestyle. Like, you got to go to work still. You've got to take care of children. You know, we can't necessarily remove the stress from our life, but we can build stress resilience. And we can do that every day by taking a minute to focus on your breath. You have access to your breath from anywhere, no matter where you are. It's free. Taking advantage of free things like sunlight. That's one of the best things you can do for your hormones, is get natural light in your eyes in the morning. You know, if you go outside, and I know not great in February, it's still cold here, but
it's still dark.
It's still dark, and that can be really hard to navigate with schedules and stuff. But just taking breaks throughout the day to take a deep breath and connect with nature in any way that you can, whether it is getting some sunlight. Grounding is one of my favorite practices. It always brings me back to my body and back to nature. Go out.
Let's explain what grounding is so everyone knows.
So grounding is simply connecting with the earth. So, you know, you think of it like you plug your phone into the wall to recharge. It's just like that. Take your shoes off. You know, as a child, we were barefoot a lot, and that's medicine. That was removing, you know, energy from our body and giving it back to the earth. I know it sounds, you know, for some people it might sound crazy, but there's so many studies.
We're earth creatures.
We are earth.
We don't have wings. We don't have fins. We are earth creatures. Like, our palms were designed to be on the ground.
And touch trees. It's, you know.
And we've been quadrupedal much longer than we've been bipedal, you know, like this, like upright in the
I love it.
human history is way newer for our bodies. So even we're still like, oh wait, I'm breathing this way instead of, because can you imagine when we're on all fours, the softness of our belly is working with gravity to move the diaphragm. But now that we've removed that and we're upright, we have to adjust our breathing completely differently to get the air, the oxygen that we need. Going off on a tangent.
You're speaking my language.
I'm really geeky about this.
I love it. And it's so true. It's like we are adapting. We're constantly adapting. And I always just tell people that, like, your body is always responding to the conditions that you create for it. And so it's never too late to take control of your health. And it is something that I feel like, you know, we hyper fixate on what's on our plate, and nourishment is so important. But there's so much more to us than just what we eat and how much we move. So
which we're gonna get to what's on the menu. But before we go there, I just kind of want to do like a little. If you could give us your best piece of advice for, you know, a woman at each stage of life that we've talked about, you know, a teenage girl in her puberty stage, kind of the transition into young adulthood, and then the transition into midlife. As you know, the simplest piece of advice that you can give to a woman at each stage of her life to support her through that process, what would it be?
I love this question. I think for teen, you know, 20s, look at not only what you're putting in your body, but on your body.
Oh,
Fragrance.
Huge, 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 huge.
Really, I used to struggle with headaches all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Perfume.
Yeah.
Simple things. Removing that from my lifestyle. I mean, alcohol, we could go on for hours, but really,
but cosmetics is a big one, and it's what teenage girls really start at a young time. I mean, we were going into Bath and Body Works like,
yes, Love Spell,
yeah,
vanilla, you know.
We had no idea the damage that we were doing.
No idea.
Really take the time to do research and find clean products. It's hard, it sucks, but there are good things out there that are the same price as the bad stuff.
If not cheaper.
Yeah.
It's so true. I tell my clients that all the time. And that's part of my role as a coach, is to help people find safer alternatives. And it's so simple when you do start seeing, okay, wow, you know, some people think I'm going to spend more money on this. You are saving money.
Oh, yeah.
By getting half of those things out of your routine.
And you're saving having tens of thousands of dollars of medical bills down the road, which I can personally attest to. It's not fun.
I agree.
So just buy the
much.
Clean lotion when you can.
It is. It's infecting.
Your skin is your largest organ.
It is, and it's affecting our hormones. That's what I say. You know, when I work with women in their 30s and 40s, I think, what if, you know, they were living a completely, not that it's possible
life, where would they be now?
Where would they be now? And how many of these issues could we have prevented in the first place?
Right.
And so, you know, for the younger generations, empowering them and with the education to prevent these issues, that is something that's near and dear to my heart, just because of how much pain and suffering, truthfully,
we've been through.
You understand. And so that's huge, I think.
Okay.
And then understanding too your cycle. Like we touched on that, but really
just starting to track it at a young age.
You know, I was just taught to silence my symptoms. I was put on birth control, and that just shuts down a lot of important, you know, functions of the body and our hormones. And so, I think just really body literacy and understanding, you know, your hormones and stuff like that from an early age. What an advantage they would have.
Body before boys.
Yes. I love that.
Okay. So for the young adult, like late teens going to early 20s. And I didn't even realize that like your nervous system isn't really fully finished forming until your early 20s. And I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
A lot of sense.
I understand now why my nervous system operates the way it does, because those years were nuts.
Crazy. So much stress between school, working, social life, you know, the stress I was putting on my body, even just socially drinking a couple of times a week. You know, the body was saying no, and I wasn't listening to it at that point.
I think that's like one of the biggest things at that time, because everything feels so massive. And I remember so many like older women being like, don't stress so much. Like, please, you're gonna wear yourself out if you keep up at this rate. And I was like, what do you mean? Everything's stressful, but like
the urgency.
Yeah, really, it's not. And like there is space for you to slow down. Like I would say my biggest piece of advice, and then I'll let you share yours because I'm talking over you.
I love
to not schedule stress.
Yes.
Just don't schedule stress. Those back-to-back meetings, a travel time that is going to make you have to rush. Don't do it. Give yourself space in your life. If you can't do it with ease, pleasure, and delight, then it cannot fit on your calendar that day. I'm sorry.
That is such big sister advice that I love.
Yeah.
I love it. I would also add to nourishment.
Yeah.
With teens and like now I'm just thinking,
because you're doing so much.
You're doing so much, and with diet culture, and you know, we kind of navigated that probably in college. You know, you're told not to gain the freshman 15, and you hear all these silly things like that. So then you're dieting when really you should be focusing on nourishing. And giving yourself your body what it needs to properly function.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's, I think, something that with diet culture kind of coming back, it seems like it's getting worse and worse again. So that is another thing I would say, is really focus on nourishing and giving your body what it really needs.
Nice.
And then for the 20s, 30s, you know, women navigating
that, like, late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah. I think listening to your body, you know, we're taught there's, again, so much noise in wellness, and what works for one person may not be what you need from a nutritional standpoint.
That's the biggest thing.
Supplement standpoint. And so having access to functional testing and that, is becoming more and more available at better costs. So really turning to that to say, okay, this is what my body's actually asking for. Maybe this is what I'm deficient in, and this is exactly what I need.
Yeah, because a lot of the information out there and this can be prevalent in the functional medicine, naturopathic world too.
Absolutely.
It's just very generalized information that oh, well, you need B vitamins, you need D vitamins, you need all this, but your body might not be able to process it in a certain way because you have specific genetic markers that someone else doesn't have. And so if you're not doing that testing and you're just treating based on general information, like that's a time where it's really important to get more specific and look at what specifically your body needs, 100%. Can do, and how it functions so that you can actually like tailor your treatment specifically to your needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Been the biggest shift in how I've been approaching my care for sure. I'm like, no, we need testing to back this up. I'm not just going to be like blindly throwing supplements down my throat anymore.
Exactly. Yes. I've loved learning more about your journey and the things that you've done outside of the box. It's like, yes, we need professionals and doctors and stuff, but we also need to be able to trust ourselves and know when this doesn't align and I need to dig deeper, which is something that I've admired that you've done on your health journey so much.
And sometimes that involves needing to leave the relationship. Sometimes that involves needing to leave the job.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that involves needing to move to a different location. Like your body is always talking to you, and the more you can attune to it, I don't like to say listen because that still like creates this sense of separation. It's like we're a tuning fork. Like you just feel into it. You attune to it. You can hear. And I say like my journey of like aging and maturing is that like I just learned to listen faster and faster and faster each time. Because it's like, oh yeah, you've actually been telling me this for years or months now. And it's like, the time gets shorter and shorter where I'm like, okay, I hear you. We're going to make the change.
Yeah. I'm all
The negotiation period isn't quite as long as time goes on.
Yes. And to like even people that are maybe in their 50s, 60s and beyond, your body is always communicating to you.
Yeah.
And we have this innate ability to heal when we create the right conditions. And so it's never too late. I think that is something that, people feel like defeated or, oh, there's been so much damage done.
No,
and you
it's never too late.
It's never too late.
The body is miraculous. I feel like we're superheroes. Like we heal naturally. Like that is superhero stuff.
It is.
And like against all of the odds and all of the stressors and all of the damage that we can do to ourselves, we still heal. Like that is incredible.
Yes.
So never underestimate the power of your body to heal.
So resilient.
Yeah. And I would say at each stage of life, like just hydration, water, hydration, electrolytes. So, like when I started doing that, my life changed. My headaches went away.
That's huge.
It was like I was getting 2-3 headaches every week. And doctor was like, drink water.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean? He said, drink so much water you think you're going to puke. And I said, I think that's actually really good advice. And I started doing it.
Wow.
No more headaches.
That's amazing.
No more headaches. So never underestimate the power of like the small things. Like you said, the sunlight, the water, a couple breaths of fresh air.
The foundations.
Yeah.
We can overcomplicate so much, and it does so many times come back to that.
Yeah.
Just the foundations.
Yeah, which is nourishing soil.
Yep.
If you're thinking of the body as a garden, getting that nourishment via food, getting that sunlight, getting that water, and getting that community and that social engagement.
100%. That's one of the biggest things that I think is overlooked.
Yeah.
I noticed that in 6 months of coaching, women need each other. Men need it too. We all need community.
Yeah, we all need community.
We do.
Yeah.
So thank you for all you've already done in your short time in Fishers to bring the community together. Because
it's been such a pleasure to be a part of the Fishers community and welcomed into it. I needed it so badly because Los Angeles is just so incredibly isolating. Even if you have community, it's like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? But here, it was like the first time I walked down the street and someone drove by me in their vehicle and made eye contact with me and smiled and waved. I thought, this is it.
Oh.
I don't even know that person, and we're having an exchange of like, I acknowledge you as a human being, and I really hope you have a great day. And just that, it just feeds my soul so much. And there's no doubt that I don't believe that it's affecting my health, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
We are so happy to have you. Seriously. I told you when I first met you, I'm like, I've been telling my dad we need healthy fast food, like I said at the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah.
So we are so happy to have you.
It helped. I mean, it's just a step in the right direction, but it's like
huge.
The first step is really important.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that people have access to you. So now let me ask you this before we go to what's on the menu.
Yes.
How can people work with you? Yeah. How can they find you? Yes. And then what are other resources that they can turn to or look to if they might feel like, oh, I don't think I'm ready yet financially for coaching, or I don't have the space in my schedule yet, but I'm like curious about it. Like, what's a good starting point?
Yeah, so I offer clarity calls
to
just jump on a call, talk about your health goals, kind of take a deeper dive into how I may be able to support people. Holistic health and functional medicine, as you know, is very expensive. And for a lot of people, they don't have access to that. So that was something really important to me. Just because of the way my family, you know, everyone just kind of went through the conventional because that's what insurance covered.
Yeah.
So I work with anyone. Price is never a reason that people, you know, don't work with me. That's one of the things that's really near and dear to me, is to just make it more accessible. So there's a lot of different ways I can support people, but clarity calls are the easiest way to just book a quick call, 15, 20 minutes, just to kind of
get information.
Yeah, to get information. And then on my website, I do offer like a resource page. So if you are someone that is dealing with really complex issues, and you need, you know, a new doctor for what, I've got some resources there. You can find a functional practitioner in your area. I've got lots of different resources to red light therapy and non-toxic products and kind of things that, you know, I did a lot of research so that people didn't have to, so that they could quickly, you know, even when it comes to red light, it's like I found the clinical grade for the best cost, because there's so many that are
so many, you don't want to waste your money.
Yes. And you don't need to, especially with something like that. So there's a lot of resources on my page, but I think too, social media, understanding that it can be overwhelming, especially when you're getting conflicting advice. But if you follow, you know, there's a lot of doctors on there that are sharing really great information, and
you get a lot of great free information.
Much free information.
Have the ability to filter through it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely think doing, you know, even documentaries. There's the Heal documentary I always tell people to watch. That's a really great one that opened my eyes to the mind, body, you know, spiritual side of health as well. So documentaries, books, there's so many.
And we'll link the resource page so you guys can access it, because also, you know, we know time is limited and it's hard to find the time to do all this research if it's not your full-time job, you know. It's like, I use some of the apps sometimes, and I know that they're not perfect, but it does help you start to learn
100%.
More information, to learn about different ingredients, why you don't want to put it into your body, what's safe, and, you know, just to get more understanding around what's being presented to you and what choices you have to make.
I love that. Yeah. There's so many resources and tools at our fingertips at this time.
Yeah, and more being created every day, which is the exciting part. Because I think as a culture, we're all starting to realize we're all a little sicker than we should be. Yes. More inflamed than we should be. I think there's something to this. It might be the food.
Yes.
So this is a great segue to what's on the menu today.
It looks so good.
Today we have our oatmeal bowl. It's our pure protein power oatmeal. I love this bowl because it's a great way to get your protein in first thing in the morning, which is really great if you're a 40-year-old woman. I've heard. I don't know why, but I'm just believing it that protein is good.
You are right.
Okay.
Yes, we need balanced breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so why is it good to have oats in the morning? Can you explain that to me? Because I know it's good, but I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it because.
Oats are a great source of, nourishment, right? So especially if you're going to go work out, you don't want to work out on an empty stomach.
It's
Fuel.
Okay.
We wake up, we drink coffee. That's one of the biggest shifts. A lot of women I work with, just by having protein in the morning and a more protein forward meal to start the day, they report, more energy, less afternoon slumps, brain fog. It helps with so many different things, and hormonally it's huge for us to have that protein too in the morning. So for oats in the morning, I would say definitely before a workout, maybe not every day, but certainly before you're going to go on a walk or even go to do any sort of workout.
Nice. So you can come to Pure Green, order your oats at night before we close, and you'll have them in the morning for when you wake up before your workout. Our Pure Power Protein has bananas, sliced almonds. It's also got protein powder mixed into the oatmeal for extra boost of protein, and it's got the cashew butter on top and honey. So it is packed. I'm not a huge banana fan, but I do love this one. I love oatmeal in general, especially in the morning when it's cold.
It's so cozy.
I know. It's just so cozy.
And this is such a good way to get, again, it's a full meal here.
It is.
It's not just the oats,
Yeah, and you can eat half of it and save the rest of it for later too, which is, I always have a hard time listening to my belly and understanding when it's full.
Yes.
When it's or understanding am I a person who needs to eat 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day or multiple small meals over the course of the day for little bursts of fuel for out, because I imagine everybody is different, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is it. Just listening to your body. It's one of the best takeaways, I think, is that we are all so different and our needs vary and they change.
And the best thing you can do when you're navigating food and food choices is listen to your body. Eat something, see how you respond to it.
100%.
Listen and make notes. That's it. I've done so many food allergy testing, and still every nutritionist is the best thing you can do is really just trial and error with yourself and listen. No test is really going to be able to fully tell you.
Wow. It is. Keeping a food journal to say hey,
I write down everything I eat every day.
You're so tuned in.
So I can go back and be oh, I had this headache on this day. Maybe it was because my body doesn't, respond to so well right now.
Yep. This is delicious. And I love the cashew butter too.
Thank you for being here with us. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Always.
I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Please follow her, Noelle Norwood Wellness, on Instagram, online. We'll post the links on the show notes. Book a consultation. It's a clarity call. It's free. You're going to get so much information out of it. And it's just going to be a great way to kind of jumpstart wherever you are in your journey.
Thank you so much, Chasten.
Thank you. Bye.